Today is Friday, Parashat Shoftim. Typically, the Torah doesn't tell us the reason for the mitzvot. There are commandments. There are 613 commandments in the Torah. And we are to follow them because Hashem commanded us in His divine wisdom. The whole world was created based on the Torah, and therefore the mitzvah of the Torah is the right way to live a person's life. This is like the owner's manual for life is the Torah, but the Torah doesn't tell us the ta'am, the reason for each mitzvah typically. On the opposite, this is what Am Yisrael said when they received the mitzvah, the Torah. They said, Na'aseh v'nishma. We will follow the commandments, we will do the commandments, then we'll hear. In other words, it's not a prerequisite to follow the mitzvot for us first to understand the reason. In the parasha of this week, when the Torah speaks about the king, there are 3 halachot pertaining to the king where the Torah gives a reason why. It says, Lo yarbelu susim, he should not have many horses, the king. Why? So he doesn't return the people to Egypt. The Torah gives us the reason. Because the best horses were found in the country of Egypt. Lo yarbelu nashim, he should not have many wives. Because as a king, and especially at the time when a person could marry more than one wife, the king was the all-powerful in his country. He could have as many wives as he wanted. The Torah says, no, don't overdo it. And he gives us the reason also, that they would not sway his heart in the wrong direction. And he says also, he shouldn't have much silver and gold. And then he says, so he would not be conceited. So here in this parasha, the Torah not only gives us these 3 restrictions, if you wish, on the king, it tells us also the reason why. But what happened then? Shlomo HaMelech, who was the wisest of all men, said, those reasons don't apply to me. I can do these things that the Torah tells me not to fulfill, and not be impacted by what the Torah says that it would cause a person to be impacted if he increases the amount of money and silver, if he marries more than wives than he would be allowed to, and if he has many horses. Even though he was the wisest of all men, our sages said that in a way he failed in these 3 mitzvot, because he relied on his personal ability to be able to circumvent, to be able to overcome whatever the Torah says was the reason why not to do these things. And this is an incredible lesson for us. That many times a person, in trying to find the reason for the mitzvah, he will say, it doesn't apply to me. It doesn't apply to this time. He'll find justifications why not to follow the mitzvah. That's why the Torah doesn't give us the reasons usually why certain mitzvot should be done or why certain restrictions apply. He tells it to us as a commandment because unfortunately we can be misguided by what appears to be to us some logical process of thinking, some reasoning that may lead us in the wrong direction. And I've seen it many times where people justify their actions why they do not follow a certain mitzvah. Once they start putting logic and reasoning into it on the human level and especially on the subjective level, then they find all sorts of reasons to justify non-performance of mitzvot. The way to follow the mitzvot is, of course, like the first statement that Am Yisrael said, Na'aseh v'nishma. You follow the mitzvah by the book, according to the instructions of Hachamim. Sometimes you understand, sometimes you don't understand why, but understanding is not a prerequisite and should not be the reason why you follow the mitzvah. The Pasuk says, El binatcha al tisha'en. Don't rely on your understanding, because sometimes there are subjective approaches that are not exactly the proper way to think about certain things. And if we follow the mitzvot that way, first of all, because Hashem commanded us, of course there is divine wisdom behind them. And of course we may, as we follow the mitzvot, have the enlightenment to understand certain reasons why. That will be an extra bonus. But the reason we follow the mitzvot is because Hashem said so. And that's a very important lesson to learn from the parasha of this week. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen ve'amen.